Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush is sponsored by the Word on Wealth Radio Network.
I got that memorized.
This is the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush of GQLAW. Gary is a San Diego financial solutions attorney protecting people like you. The Word on Wealth team of financial experts is here to answer your questions and help preserve your family's financial future. Now,
live.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Word on Wealth. It's Thursday. Today is the day we all become smarter. And you know why? Because we have Anthony Wright, who is the absolute expert on all things money, all things finances. And you can't wait to hear what we're going to be talking about today. Some of you are going to be laughing your face off. Some of you are,
and some of us are going to get hungry in about 15 minutes.
In about 15. Hungry? What the heck? Anthony, how are you, man? So good to have you on the show.
Hey, Gary. Noah loves my our producer behind the scenes that most people don't get to hear. He loves my hamburger stories and my Big Mac stories.
That's right. Well, yeah,
it makes him hungry.
Now, they're not okay, those are not like copyrighted, right? Your stories?
No.
Okay, good.
No.
Because I thought you were going to ask me for royalties because I use them all the time. I did. I just did today. I did because so I'm talking to clients about being a fiduciary, and that obviously the hamburger story, not obviously, but Anthony's hamburger story is about being a fiduciary. The difference between being a fiduciary and providing what people should have and what they want. And I'm doing that with the client. Literally the last 2 or 3 days, I'm going like, oh my gosh, I'm using Anthony's hamburger story because I have clients that are saying, well, I think what I want to do is the beneficiary wants an early draw, and they want like $20,000. And I think I'm going to go ahead and give it to them. And I said, it's not what they want. It's what they should have. What is this 21-year-old beneficiary going to do with that extra $20,000 at Christmas time? I said, for a 22-year-old, $20,000 is a lot of money. So the trustee's going, well, he's going to inherit $500,000. What's 20 grand? I said, early distribution before I say let it go, before we do the accounting, before it's been agreed to, before the creditors know about it, before we've done the notification, $20,000 is way too much. And it's also improper. It's not right. You're not allowed to do that because you're a fiduciary. What is that? And then I explain, you have to do things that are appropriate for the beneficiary, and giving them money early is not appropriate. It's not in their best interest. It's just not, So I use your story, and I'm glad it's not trademarked or copyrighted because then I don't have to pay royalties. So Anthony,
excellent.
Oh my goodness. I was talking to a client of mine just yesterday, and I said, you need to listen to the show, because she said, I need a financial advisor. You're going to love this. She said, I am so tired of my financial advisor saying, it's okay. We've got you in treasury bills. You're okay. You're getting about 4.5% to 5%. And with the market like it is, that's okay. And I said, tell me who your advisor is. She tells me. I said, they're fee-based. And she goes, they're getting 1.5% of my portfolio that they keep telling me, it's okay, let it sit. And I went, you have the worst of both worlds. You've got to listen to the show tomorrow, because we're going to talk to Anthony, because it was like fee-based. He gets paid for doing nothing every year that he does nothing. Or if he does great things and makes her a lot of money, then he gets paid for doing great things. It's like, it was crazy. So she said, I am so mad about this, and his fees are really high. And I've talked to other people, and he's in this, just hang in there. The market will come back. And you'll love this too. Her comment was, but I lost 30% this year. And he said, don't worry, the market will come back. To which she responded, and this is like, she must have been listening to our show, to which she responded to her financial quote advisor, I lost 30%, and the market, if it comes back 60%, I will be at zero, for which I paid you 1.5% last year. And so I said, you need a new advisor. Listen to our show tomorrow. Here's Anthony's number. She goes, what's this? What is it? What's 931 retired? I said, that's the only number you need to know. Call Anthony. Anyway.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. And that's, Gary, that's happening all across this country. And, you hit the nail right on the head. And that is, folks, if the market drops 30%, it does not need to return 30% to put you back at even. It has to return 100%, because, do the math on that. If you've got 100,000 and it's down 30, now you got 70. Well, it becomes 30. What's 30%? Only 21,000. You're still short, right? So yeah, you're right. It has to double. It has to come back 60%, right? I mean, that's you just told the people something right there that are listening today. You just told them something that will be life saving for them if they will get that concept.
And my dad taught me that, because, it was always like, oh, it'll come back. And I was telling my dad that, and he says, Gary, do the math. And I went, what math? And he said, if the market drops 30%, what are you at? I said, I'm at 70%. Okay, now you got to take 70 back to the 100. How much do you have to go? I said, oh, I've got to go up 60%. He says, yeah. And how long will that take?
That's right.
Probably 6 or 8 months. Good. So what did you do in the last 6 or 8 months? Nothing. Well, the market went all over the place. Your money did too. So I talked to her about stop losses, and her eyes opened. She goes, there's a way to do that? That's incredible. I said, 931 retired. It's what Anthony does. I mean, I've talked to another financial advisor that went, oh, stop losses. We don't need stop losses. We watch your money like hawks. And if the market is dropping and it goes down past our designated number, we'll put you in cash. I said, what if it's Sunday night? What if it's Sunday afternoon? What if it's Monday morning? What if some of it is in foreign exchange, which is going 24 hours a day?
That's right.
Well, I said, why don't you do it automatically? Well, we don't use stop losses. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm talking to this woman, got a bunch of money, and she's, everything was making sense. I said, I'm not a financial advisor. Don't take my word for it. Call Anthony and listen to the show today. So there we are.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
thank you. And I'm looking forward to coming to San Diego and doing a seminar with you.
Yes, that's going to be fun. Tom's working on that right now to try to figure out.
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
yes, he is. And I'm looking forward to it.
It'll be fun. So looking forward to a lot of people to come in and we can talk shop with everybody. That'd be great. Hey, one thing in the news that I just heard literally before our show started, they said that the Fed is now, and this guy named Bullard, and he's saying, well, we think we're going to have to actually increase the benchmark rate much higher than we originally anticipated to be able to cool off its inflation. And my response to that was, I have no idea what you just said. I'm not, I'm a pretty smart guy. I have no idea. I got to ask Anthony. What happens when the Fed comes out and does that kind of stuff?
So did you kind of happen to get the gist behind what he was saying? Like, is he saying the Fed is going to raise rates? Or what could you get the gist of what he was saying?
So that what I heard, because it was one of these sound bites, and maybe Noah can chime in, but it's like, he said the benchmark rate, they just have to raise the benchmark rate so much higher so that then that'll cool off the economy and there won't be so much inflation by raising the benchmark rate. And I'm not sure what that was.
Okay, so so in the investment world, the benchmark means, let's put
got a minute.
That is the target that you're trying to hit. Okay, that's the benchmark. So if he's trying to say raise up to the benchmark is going to be 9.5%. So when you get up to 9.5%, that's what inflation is growing at. They have then hit the benchmark. And at that point in time, it cools everything down. So can you imagine a home loan at 9.5%? It would totally devastate everything in our country, and it would do more than cool it down. It would put it in an ice box.
I don't understand why sound bites like that come out, because I know with my clients, it literally alarms them. And I'm having to tell them, you don't listen to the news so much. Listen to Anthony. We've got Anthony today. We've got him for as long as we want this man. 931 retired. You can call and ask Anthony direct questions. You can do that right now. The number is 888-344-1170, 888-344-1170. We do have lines open. You can talk to Anthony Wright about your finances. Call right now, 888-344-1170.
You've got questions. We've got answers. This is the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush of GQLAW. Gary's here to give you peace of mind with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary to build, protect, and transfer your wealth. 855-500-TRUST. GQLAW.com.
You're saving and investing for the future, and that's good. Have you ever stopped to think, where does my money actually go? This is Faith-Based Investing with Anthony Wright.
Most Christians just don't understand that the money they save for retirement usually helps fund the abortion industry and other liberal anti-family causes. But did you know that with just a few minutes of your time, we can screen and clean your investments at no cost to you? It's absolutely complimentary. Just go to the website right now, download a free copy of my book, Faith-Based Investing. It's free as well. You deserve to know the truth as the investor. Then the choice is yours. You can keep doing what you're doing, or you can line up your investments and life savings with your beliefs. We are fiduciary investment advisors. You can feel good about investing with confidence. So learn more now. Go to BibleSafeInvesting.com or call me at 931-RETIRED. Your free book is waiting for you. Go to BibleSafeInvesting.com and be sure that you listen to Faith-Based Investing this weekend right here on Family Talk.
So Gary, we've talked a long time about estate administration. So what is that and why is it important?
Estate administration is the distribution part of estate planning. So when someone passes away and they leave money to beneficiaries, the property has to be administered. So it's like taking it from the decedent to the survivor. That's called the estate administration process. So usually you're going to have a successor trustee that's named in the trust. So have no idea what they're doing because they've never done it before. So then they call on GQLAW and we walk them step by step on how to be a successful and good successor trustee. We also do the required notifications. We notify the Department of Health Services and all the legal requirements so that they can have the estate administration done properly. We help successor trustees be successful.
Call or click to request your free consultation. GQLAW.com, 855-500-TRUST, GQLAW.com.
You're not alone. Ask for the legal help you need. Call Gary and the team at GQLAW 855-500-TRUST or go online and download Gary's free ebooks and videos. Read Gary's blogs. Call or click to request your free consultation or to talk with a member of the GQ team. That's GQLAW.com 855.
You're live.
Trust.
We are here with Anthony Wright. He is our financial fiduciary advisor. He is an expert in his field. He's the best. 931-RETIRED is his number. Anthony, so good to have you on the show on the Word on Wealth. That's what it's all about. Anthony, I've been talking about all kinds of things. We're glad to have you along on the show today. To call and talk to Anthony right now on the show, it's 888-344-1170. We do have some lines open, so you can call in 888-344-1170. Anthony, I wanted to switch topics a little bit. There's some news about FTX, this cryptocurrency platform that it was like this multi-billion-dollar cryptocurrency platform that, and it just like overnight vaporized.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What is that about?
Yeah. I read that earlier this week in the news, and, for the folks that are listening today, if you're not careful, you're going to get caught up in this cryptocurrency thing. And so what happened at FTX is there was, just Google the FTX crash, or, I don't know what Google would report it as because I remember reading the article, but if you just type in, Frank Thomas Xylophone, FTX, you'll see it. It's been all in the news this week. Big celebrities like Mr. Wonderful, the investor on Shark Tank,
Yeah.
Shaquille O'Neal, Steph Curry. I mean, it just goes on and on and on,
Yeah.
and names all of these big celebrities. And I forgot the total amount, but it was like $17 billion, like with a B. And all of a sudden it's gone. And so those that are listening today, be careful that you don't get caught up in this, you know, the world is going to crash tomorrow and we're all going to crash and burn and the US dollar is worth nothing and we're going to cryptocurrency. Well, first of all, can't tell you when the world's going to end. That's not up to us. That's up to God, the big man upstairs, right? And number two, can't tell you when the dollar's going to crash, but I tell you this much, if you watch the senators and the congressmen and the governors and the president, and you watch these political people, well, anytime they're going to make a change, you know, they're going to make a change because it's not going to affect their pocket. So they're not switching their money to cryptocurrency. If they do, and they were in that FTX, then they lost a lot of money. Now, I get it that the president of the United States is discussing switching to cryptocurrency and trying to find a way. But folks, here's the problem. How are you going to, well, first of all, let me say this, because I know this is a big topic in the news. Now, I'm not saying this to be controversial because I don't know, but I'm just telling you that if you watch the nightly news, these congressional seats, these Senate seats like that's going on right now in Arizona, even the governor race in Arizona with that Kerry Lake versus the incumbent there. You got Herschel Walker down in Georgia. You've got people everywhere claiming that there's voter fraud and that there's tampering with voter machines. Now, I'm not saying that there is I'm not trying to be confrontational. I'm just saying watch the news. It's on the news. The news is claiming it every night. So I say that to say this. If, and that's a big if there is voter fraud and if they can tamper with voting machines and computer machines, it is very clear now because of this FTX collapse that they can tamper with numbers that are on a computer. So anything that is cryptocurrency is just digits. It's digits stored in a database. And for the life of me, Gary, I will never understand why so many people are dumping that kind of money. I don't know. I'm sure, Shaq, Steph Curry, Mr. Wonderful from the Shark Tank, I'm sure they have the money to lose. But I have a lot of clients that are multimillionaires. I have friends that are billionaires. Nobody enjoys losing $100 million. Okay. So,
well said.
Yeah. So, you know, when this FTX drops and takes $17 billion worth of people's money, well, where does that put us common folk? Right. I mean, if we had 100,000 in digits and then you wake up tomorrow morning and one or two things happens. One, your 100,000 is now worth 200,000 and you celebrate and think it's woohoo till you try to go use it and then you can't use it. Or two, you wake up and you find that your $100,000 worth of digits is now gone because somebody hacked into the computer or somebody wasn't a very nice person and you got scammed out of your money. When it involves digits and it involves a computer and it involves you can't control it, I don't like it. If it's my money, I want to be in control of it. Don't you, Gary?
Well said. Absolutely.
Yep.
You know, because if you have the money to spare and you're playing with this client that I was talking to just yesterday about, listening to the show today, she was talking about cryptocurrency. And a really good friend of hers said, I have made $140,000 on my whatever $10,000 investment in cryptocurrency. I'm into cryptocurrency. So this woman got into it and lost $15,000, which she doesn't have. So, she says, do you have cryptocurrency? And I said, I have some. Just, it makes me watch and see it crumble to nothing, but I didn't do it with any money that I needed for anything else. It wasn't my safety net. It wasn't anything else,
That's right.
a couple thousand bucks. And that's,
sure.
It's been up to 8 or 9 or 10, and now it's back down to 500, and it's ridiculous. Sure. But it's I'm not like, it's not. I don't tell people to invest in cryptocurrency. It's just
Right.
It's just, there's this sexiness to it. And then you hear about, oh, cryptocurrency. I mean, realistically, cryptocurrency, like when you do Venmo, I mean, there's no dollars. There's just digits going back and forth, and I Venmo money to somebody and they Venmo money back. I mean, it started a long time ago with PayPal. There's just a lot of digits going back and forth. So people kind of go, oh, I think I understand what cryptocurrency is. No, you don't, because the way it's manufactured, and anything you can't understand, don't get involved in. I mean, if I want to say, what's the dollar worth and what's that based on, you could explain it to me, say, well, there's the gold standard, but we're not on that anymore. It's based on this, blah, blah, blah. And I would go, oh, okay, I get that. But if you try to explain to me, like my niece's husband actually is, a computer whizzy guy, and he knows all about cryptocurrency and how it's done and what blockchain and all, and he's trying to explain it to me. And I said, well, I thought it was blah, blah, blah. And he goes, no, that's just the way we describe it so that people can kind of figure out, oh, okay, it has some substance to it. But it was like, I didn't get it. And I went, I should not have anything to do with it, because I don't know how it moves. I don't know why. That's why you get, I know real estate. I know why it moves and how it moves and all that stuff. And anything else, I don't know. I just give it to Anthony. And then it's like, you figure it out, because that's your baby. I mean, I do my legal stuff. I do my estate planning, my trust. People don't understand that stuff, but that's my baby. So I am really good at that. I play in that world. I don't play in your world, Anthony. I don't play in anybody else's world, because I don't understand enough about all this complexity. But I just think this is such an eye-opener.
That's very smart.
Yeah.
Very smart, Gary. Very smart. Because if you put a couple $1,000s in, and that's not your emergency money, that's not your investments as in retirement. It's not, that is basically what we call speculation money, right? It's just speculation. So when you speculate with something like that, like I had a client this morning that wanted to speculate with $30,000. And I said, look, it's your money. You can do what you want to do, but as your investment advisor, I'm going to strongly advise against it. You know why? Because you can't afford to lose it. If you lose it, it will devastate you, and you can't afford to lose it. So therefore, you don't take money that you can't afford to lose and speculate with it. Now, if it's $500, that's a different story. Take $500 and speculate with it. That's fine. But don't take $30,000 and speculate with it. Kind of the same way, like you just said, with real estate. Don't put 100% of your portfolio in real estate. Don't put 100% of your portfolio in gold. Why would you do that? Because you're locked to one particular thing. And if it does bad or it does poorly, you're in trouble. So diversify. And then always remember, balance is the key to life. Stay in the middle of the road. I love what you said. $2,000. Hey, went up to $8,000. Great. Back down to 500. Not so great. But you know what? At least tonight you can go home and you can eat a dinner with your family and you can buy groceries.
Absolutely. And I think that's,
so it's
we
good.
talk about
Smart.
risk tolerance too. And I don't think people really understand that very well. Like, well, I can take risk, and people just feel like, well, if I'm in equities and the equities are going up, then I'm making really good money. And if I'm diversified and some of my stuff is not going up, well, wouldn't it be better to be in the thing that's only going up? Well, sure, but that's called speculation. If it's all in one spot, and it's always nice if you're all in one spot, you're all in equities or all in gold or all in real estate, and that particular item is doing great. Awesome. But good luck trying to predict how those things are going to move. And that's why we use people like Anthony that knows how things move, and some things move opposite to each other, and they have their proportions and how much you should have. Anthony, I'm wondering, I know we usually have you on for a couple of seconds. I don't know. Can you stay? Because we're going to have to take a break in a minute or so. Can you stay? I got to ask you a question. Can you stay on for like another 10 minutes?
Absolutely.
Okay. So what I want to do.
Let me have 2 minutes.
Okay. So what I'm going to do, first of all, you guys, Anthony's going to come back after we take a break in about 2 minutes, but just kind of to warm you up for that. Our hotline to call in to Anthony right now is 888-344-1170. And I would love to have you call and ask a question specifically. I'm going to be asking in some specific questions because I do have somebody that's listening, and I promised her that I would get to a couple questions. We've been talking about, this speculation and stuff like that, which is all the scary stuff that should keep you out of things you don't understand. I mean, that's just kind of a basic principle of investing. I think we're getting, hammered back into us today. Anthony's number to go. You can go to his website, which is BibleSafeInvesting.com. You can get his free book. You can go online with that. You get his book. You can look through the book. You can also go online and actually sign up to have a free risk analysis with Anthony, and he'll meet with you. He has this certain period of time he'll meet for free, talk to you about your portfolio, your risk tolerance, what you should be doing, and make recommendations. That's why we like Anthony. So to be part of the show, it's 888-344-1170. And to call Anthony, it's 931-RETIRED. All right. So Anthony, we've got 45 seconds, word of wisdom, and then we're going to come back and I got a specific question. What I'm going to be asking Anthony in about a couple of minutes from now is I'm going to ask him specifically about diversification. I have some questions based on a particular client that wants to know some information. I'm going to ask Anthony of that. It'll be right off the cuff. You'll see how smart this guy is. 931-RETIRED. In the meantime, yeah, just hang on and wait through the break, and you're going to know all about this show. This is the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush and Anthony Wright. If you want help with your estate plan, trying to figure out, how to get your money in or out of the trust, which is super important. That is my job. My number is 855-500-TRUST. I've been doing it for over 30 years, and that is my joy. That's my job. That's what I do. That's what makes me happy, is to talk to you about setting up your own estate plan and being prepared for basically all contingencies. 855-500-TRUST. All right, coming up next, we're going to ask Anthony some specifics on what to do with my money. Coming up, the Word on Wealth.
You don't need to know everything. You just need to know where to find answers you can trust when you need them. Welcome to the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush. We are here to help you build, protect, and transfer everything you've worked hard for with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary and the team at GQLAW.com. 855-500-TRUST. Outreach, the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush of GQLAW. Call or click to request your free initial consultation or to talk with a member of the team. Call Gary at 855-500-TRUST. GQLAW.
You're live.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome back to the Word on Wealth. This is Gary Quackenbush and Anthony Wright. He's an expert financial fiduciary, financial advisor, here to give us everything we need to know, seriously, about investing. We have a caller on the line, Anthony. We're going to take a call from James, and after James gives us his question, he's going to hang up and hear the answer through the radio. So James, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you very much. Anthony, my quick question is, I'm a 50-year-old man, married, and together, me and my wife, got about $140 a year. I have about 265,000. It's just in a savings account in a bank, and I'm not sure what to do with it. That's my question. I rent a house right now. I do not own a house. I rent right now. I live in California, and I'm just not sure what to do with this large money I have just in the bank, earning less than 0.5%.
All right. You got
Wow.
that, Anthony?
I got it. And thank you so much, James, for calling in, and thank you for listening. And I appreciate the call. And here's what I will tell you. I will tell you, you've done the right thing by calling in, because you're not even keeping up with inflation in the savings account. Now, normally what I see, James, in a situation like this, when people keep it in a savings account, it's because they feel safe and they feel secure. Now, this isn't to put any kind of fear in you. I'm not fear driven. Okay. God don't give us a spirit of fear. This is just fact. But, local banks during COVID shut down, and, it was hard to get to the money if you needed to. So the situation that you're in is not as safe as you're thinking it is. Now, with that being said, what can I do to help? We can put it, we have particular avenues of investing that we can invest that money in, and it will be 100% insured, 100% safe, and 100% protected, and it's insured. And instead of earning, 0.5%, you're going to earn between 6 and 8%. Now, that's a very conservative approach. And, you may say, well, that's not even keeping up with inflation. But I'm just being very realistic with you. A lot of people would give you pie in the sky stuff, but to go conservative, you're going to make between 6 and 8%. So I can well more than, 6 times your money, right? So I'd be able to help you with that. If you'll just go to BibleSafeInvesting.com, fill out that questionnaire for someone to give you a call, and my team will call you back. Or you could do you could just email us, info@retirementspecialtygroup.com. You could call us at 931-RETIRED. But I really appreciate you taking the time to call in, and I appreciate your earnings. You're just hungry for the truth there, and you and your wife have a good job. Congratulations on that. And there's a lot of people right now that don't have, and congratulations on having a nice pile of money put away there in savings. Let's keep it safe. Let's keep it liquid. Let's keep it where it's insured and it's guaranteed. Let's put some stop losses in place, but let's make a whole lot more than 0.5%. And realistically, I would tell you to expect between 6 and 9. We may do better than that, but I'm just giving you the realistic side, somewhere between 6 and 9.
That's fantastic. All right, James, thank you very much. Thanks for being responsible with your money. That's, we are stewards of our money. We earn it because, we behave like we're supposed to, and that's great. So congratulations on being married, on making that much money together. That's super awesome. And thanks for calling in. Anthony, that was fantastic. Thank you very much for giving that answer to James. Really appreciate that. It's always fun. I love that stuff. So
I love it.
The lady that I was talking to yesterday, she is 70. And she has some Social Security income, which is just barely enough to get by. So she relies on getting money from some of her investments. She really wants more freedom. She wants to be able to travel. She doesn't want to have to tap into her investments that much. And we're looking at, she has about $400,000. It's sitting with an investor right now who says, it's secure, it's safe, just leave it. The market's going wild, inflation is crazy, just leave it. You're doing okay. You're earning somewhere between 3 and 5%, depending on what's happening with the market, but let's just leave it. Let's just leave it. So I think that's like ripe for challenge. And I just want you to comment on that. 70 years old, she's got Social Security income, which it's enough to keep her going. But she wants more freedom, and she wants to figure out what to do with her 400. Suggestions, please.
Yes, absolutely. And I appreciate her as well. And I love it when James and when your client, I love it when people call in with questions, because you and I both, Gary, we have a heart for helping people, and we can only help people that reach out and ask. And I'm very thankful that she had you ask me that question. And James, I'm very thankful you called in, and I can tell that you guys are good people with the same heart, because you want change, and the only way you're going to get that is do something that you've never done, right? Because the definition of insanity is do the same thing over and expect different results, right? So we're going to do something different, and I would probably do the same thing with her, Gary, that I would do with James, because at her age now, with Gary being James being 50, I would take a little more risk with him, as in I would run a little deeper stop loss than I would with her, where she's at 70. I would tighten hers up pretty tight, maybe run like a 5 to 6% stop loss on her portfolio. But once again, just conservatively speaking, she should expect somewhere between 6 and 9. Not that we won't do better than that, because we possibly could, but I had rather under promise, so to speak. I had rather under promise and over deliver than I had over promise and under deliver. I don't ever want to do that. I had rather tell somebody, look, expect between 6 and 9, but if we get 12, then say, wow, Anthony, well, you told me 6 and you doubled it.
Yeah.
I don't want to say expect 12 and then we come in at 6. And then you're disappointed in me. So I have a tendency to go a little more to the conservative side and say, expect between 6 and 9, but don't be surprised if you make a north of 9. Okay. So I would do the same thing, Gary. I would just run a little tighter stop loss with her.
Okay. And I think that's English. That's understandable, and it makes a lot of sense. And I'm glad that we have you, because I really get a little chapped when the constant mantra that I hear from different financial advisors is, right now with inflation like it is and the market being unstable, then go ahead and leave it in your T-bill or whatever that's earning, like 2.5 or 3%, because that's really secure. And my thing is that's not secure. It's going backwards way too fast for my own stomach. So I love you doing this for us and explaining that. These are just really fun things. So it's interesting, because if you're talking about a person that it inherits like $1 million, which would be fantastic. So $1 million, it's in an inherited IRA now, and she inherited $1 million, and she's now trying to figure out what to do. It was in a TIAA, which is doing like 2 to 3%. And the TIAA advisor said, well, that's not bad. You could leave it in there and do 2 to 3%, because on $1 million, that's real money. And my thought was, I want to ask Anthony on that. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Dad died, left her $1 million. The TIAA was earning it's like 3% ish right now where it's invested. And the advisor says, you can leave it with TIAA. That's totally fine. It's making good money with the inflation rate where it is. And with the economy doing what it's doing, you can just leave it there. But he didn't have a lot of other suggestions, which really frustrated me, because then I look, in this situation with you, and if we're talking about being super conservative and doing, 6%, that's twice what the TIAA is doing already. And when you're talking about numbers that are up in 7 figures, 6% on 7 figures is real money. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
90 seconds.
So,
and the TIAA is they put that in that bond category, and that's just not where you want to be right now. And I've seen a lot of people that I've moved over out of that TIAA, and it is not what's in their best interest, because at 3%, they're not even keeping up with inflation, for crying out loud. So, and it's an inherited IRA. I would definitely just run a little tighter stop loss, but I would do well more than 3%.
Okay. And you've said that consistently, and I know that's the way it will go. So what I'm going to do is, Anthony's cracking up, because it's like, Gary, how many people do you talk to in a week that want financial advice? I talk to a lot of people, and I have to keep saying, I'm not a financial advisor. Please just listen to the show. So I wanted to kind of have this little discussion in this last segment, because this is the piece that I'm going to I'm going to provide out of the show and say, look, listen to this at least from like minute 30 to 45, because that's when we talked about some specific investments. And I really appreciate you doing that, Anthony. The number is 931 retired. Folks, to hook up with Anthony, if you don't want to do it on the phone, that's fine. Go to BibleSafeInvesting.com. You can, there's a little worksheet you can fill out. His team will get in contact with you. They do awesome work. You can send an email, info@retirementspecialtygroup.com, or simply call him at 931 retired. Anthony, really appreciate you staying for the extra time today. I know you're
Thanks,
super busy,
Gary.
man.
Thank you.
Go back
privilege
and,
and an
the
honor.
world. Absolutely. We'll talk to you next Thursday. Thanks, Anthony.
Have a good
Next
one.
Thursday is Thanksgiving, and I think we're going to rerun a
You've
show.
got questions. We've got answers. This is the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush of GQLAW. Gary's here to give you peace of mind with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary to build, protect, and transfer your wealth. 855-500-TRUST. GQLAW.com.
Speaking of,
$500-TRUST. Or go online and download Gary's free ebooks and videos. Read Gary's blogs. Call or click to request your free consultation or to talk with a member of the GQ team. That's GQLAW.com. 855.
you're live.
All right. Welcome to the Word on Wealth. This is Gary Quackenbush. We just had a great session through 3 segments with Anthony Wright. Anthony is our financial fiduciary, our financial advisor on the show, because even though I'd love to dabble in that area, I don't, because I don't understand it. His number is 931 retired. I cannot endorse him highly enough. He gives, he can talk to you about it. It's really nice. Get professionals. So here's Gary's advice today on the Word on Wealth is getting professional help for all kinds of things. I regularly discuss with potential clients on the phone, on Zoom, in my office about what is being done with the administration or distribution or the payouts or the closing of a trust. And a lot of people are really struggling as successor trustees. And I understand that, because as a successor trustee, you get put into the responsibility of handling somebody else's money and stuff and trying to carry out their wishes. You're doing that all with the aid of a thing called a living trust. And the trusts sometimes they're ridiculous. I reviewed a trust just a couple days ago. The trust itself was almost 90 pages long. So I'm looking through this trust, and everything is written to where you have to look it refers to another paragraph. There's a lot of words, a lot of language. I think way, way, way too much. And it just, everything was very wordy, and it was just really hard for me to read. I mean, to read through the document itself, just to casually read a 90-page document is going to take me a couple of hours. And then if I'm going to get something out of it, that's what I do for a living. I understand trust. I write trusts. I do that every day. I have written templates for trusts. I've written materials for speeches and lectures and all that stuff. I do this stuff and I get it. But I make it in English because the law doesn't require you to say things backwards and sideways as if you're writing out some statutory code or statutory reference or something. The law doesn't require that. In an estate plan, the whole idea is to have a trust that you can understand. My opinion is if you don't understand the trust that you just signed, then your attorney didn't do a good job. And the trust that I'm talking about that I reviewed, and I've seen this particular template several times. It's a template that you can get from, I think it's from the CEB books, but it's this really long, it's kind of this overkill template. It's this just too many instructions, things that just don't even apply. And what it did is it said, when the first person dies, we're going to create at least 3 separate subtrusts. We're going to have one that is called the Survivors Trust, one that is called the Decedents Trust. Then we're going to have a Marital Trust, and then we're going to have a Q-tip Trust, and then we're going to have a Bypass Trust. And all of those trusts potentially, whether we form them or not, depends. We're going to have disclaimers in some of them. So what is that trust document called? Some people will be selling it to you and saying, it's an ABC trust, or it's an AB trust, or it's a disclaimer trust, or it's a Q-tip trust. But all those are just buzzwords. I mean, if the trust can, if it's drafted so that the successor trustee can control IRA, inherited IRA money, or IRA money, if it can control that, and it's allowed to, then that's called an IRA protection trust, or a retirement protection trust, or a stretch trust, or a compliant. There's all these different terms, but all those words don't really mean anything, because who cares if you don't, if you're not in the industry where you understand the buzz language? Who cares what the buzz is, and who cares what this trust is called? I've had clients say, is this trust is it an asset protection trust? And I ask why they want to know about asset protection. And it's not even what they even wanted to ask. They're trying to figure out whether if they put their house into a living trust, whether now they could never be sued. And I said, that's not the purpose of this trust. There are trusts that do that. But for the protection of assets, yes, the assets in that trust are protected from your beneficiaries' creditors. So if your kid files bankruptcy, it's not going to be a problem. If you die and the money's waiting to go to a child, and the child has money problems, that trust, if it's properly drafted as a spendthrift trust, which is another buzzword, right? Then the trustee can just refuse to pay the creditor and only pay money to the beneficiary who has money problems. So when I'm looking at trusts that are 80, 50, 60, 70, 80 pages long, I know you don't know I know you don't know why it's so long, and you don't really understand what's the ABC, because I have yet to have somebody say, okay, I'm the successor trustee. I'm doing the trust administration of this trust. We've already funded the A trust and the B trust and the C trust. We've made a determination that it wasn't necessary. And according to paragraph such and such in the trust, we can go ahead and avoid doing that particular provision without violating the terms of the trust. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on. But I think if you don't understand the trust and the purpose for why it's AB, ABC, what's the decedent's trust, the survivor's trust, the marital trust, the Q-tip, if you don't understand that stuff, then don't put it in there. Because if you don't understand it, that doesn't mean you're uneducated. That doesn't mean you're unsophisticated. It's legalese. It's legal stuff. I don't expect you to open up a code in the Code of Civil Procedure and read the code just cold and say, okay, I understand what that says, because it refers to 15 different sections. There's kind of an art to it. That's why you have attorneys, So if you don't understand the terms of your trust, get help. if you are the successor trustee, don't try to do it alone for a number of reasons. First, as a successor trustee, you're a fiduciary. You didn't sign up to be the fiduciary, but you did step into the role because somebody nominated you and said, I want John to be my fiduciary. I want him to be my successor trustee. And you agreed to do it. Then you've stepped into the role. You now have been endowed with power as a successor trustee, and you're also charged with obeying the law, whether you know what that means or not. Okay, so you don't know what the law is unless you've been a successor trustee in the past and done a really good job at it. So one of the obligations that you have as a successor trustee in California is that you have the obligation, the legal obligation as a fiduciary to delegate responsibilities for which you are not an expert. What does that mean? Well, if I'm serving as a successor trustee, for example, not as an attorney, but as a successor trustee, and I need to figure out what to do with a particular fund that is in that trust, should I put it in the S&P 500, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, gold, real estate, REITs, whatever, where am I supposed to put this money? I am not a professional financial advisor. I need to hire one because I'm not allowed to do that. I can't say, well, I've got my money in this, in MTN, so I'm going to go ahead and put this trust money in the MTN. I mean, that's not a good idea because I'm doing my own money in an MTN or, these different accounts, or I've got this particular mutual fund over here. I can do that with my own money because I'm not a fiduciary to myself. And if I lose my shorts, if I lose all my money, the only person I have to blame is me. Well, if I am acting instead, I put my hat on as successor trustee, and now I'm acting as a successor trustee, I can't risk that money because I don't know what I'm doing professionally. I have to hire a professional. It's my responsibility to find a good professional. That's my job as a successor trustee, not to put the money somewhere, but to find somebody to advise me how to do that. It's not your job as a successor trustee to do the legal paperwork, to prepare the deeds, the transfers, the preliminary change of ownership reports, notifying the Department of Health Services. You're not required to do that. You're just required to make sure that it gets done. Thus, we call successor trustees typically the quarterback of the trust. The quarterback doesn't run his or her own plays, doesn't run out and catch the ball, doesn't do the blocking, doesn't hike it to themselves, doesn't do the kicks, doesn't do the extra points, it doesn't do the run backs, doesn't receive. It's like the quarterback is the one that is playing the game and making the calls. The quarterback is the one that is listening to the people on the sideline and the guy up above with all their headsets and fancy stuff on, explaining to them, suggestions on what they should be doing. But the quarterback is the one that's calling the shots. Successor trustee is a quarterback. Your job is to call the shots. Your job is to work with what you've got. And specifically, you're going to make sure that you throw the pass to the receiver, right? To the right receiver that's supposed to be doing that. That's what you're doing. You're hiring a financial professional and you're throwing the ball to them to do the financial advice. If you're not a tax professional with a license, you cannot legally prepare the tax return. It doesn't matter whether you know how to do it or that you know how to do it right, or that you've done it 100 times before. If you're not licensed to do it, that means you're not insured to do it. So as a successor trustee, don't do it. You hire a tax professional. That's their job, their responsibility, their insurance, their liability, all that stuff. And by like terms, if you are going to sell the house, oh, I've sold real property in the past, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save this trust some money. I'm going to do it without receiving any commissions, and I'm going to be the real estate agent. And you put it up for sale, you list it on the MLS, whatever. Don't do that. That's not your job unless you are a real estate professional and that's what you do for a living. You're licensed, bonded, insured, and all that stuff to do it. Then you could think about it.
Got a minute?
What about going and improving the house or working on it, whatever, and you think, I'm going to go do this? Well, talk to a real estate professional and say, if I put this money in the house, is it going to make it worth at least as much as I put in? And the honest ones are going to say, no, you might break even, but don't do that. So you've got to get legal advice. You've got to get tax advice, financial advice. That's the kind of stuff that my firm can provide, because we have our list of professionals, of people that we love to work with. If you are a successor trustee, if you're a beneficiary trying to help the successor trustee get their job done right, that's what you call me for, 855-500-TRUST. Let my law firm, GQLAW, let us help you get the money you're supposed to get as a beneficiary, get the treatment you're supposed to, let us help you as a successor trustee to do your job right. You're going to do it right. You're going to feel better about it. You're going to be able to know that you did a good job. 855-500-TRUST. We'll talk to you tomorrow here on Feel Good Friday. On the Word on Wealth. Bye, everybody.
Tell a friend about the Word on Wealth, featured since 1995 with financial solutions attorney Gary Quackenbush, an expert in estate planning, wills and trusts.
And I'll let you know later today, I had texted Desi originally.